You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show. Learn from real-life real estate investors, experience revealed with the Savvy Landlord as your host.
All right, savvy investors out there, this is something never done before. We're on location at the Ohio RIA Convention in Cincinnati. I'm overwhelmed with so many great investors. I've learned so much. Dumbfounded, I guess. I'm overwhelmed, but we had a pause during the convention to set up savvy investors with the savvy wholesaler king, Thomas Morgan. You're going to be in for a real treat. This young 32-year-old, 24 units, no bank fundings, never needed a loan before, wholesaler that averages 4 to 6 deals a month, nonstop. Man, you got a story. So please welcome.
Man, thanks, Steve. I really appreciate it. That's really kind words coming from you.
Thomas Morgan, right here, right now, live and direct.
My name's Thomas Morgan. I run a company, Momentum of Chattanooga, out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. We're one of the largest wholesalers in the state of Tennessee. Like Steve said, on average, we're doing 4 to 6 deals a month. I've never bought a house on bank funding. I wouldn't even know how to start to fill out a personal financial statement.
Well, you'll learn. All right, so how'd you get into real estate? I know you're not from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Why would anybody want to live there? But you know, people say that about me in Oklahoma City, but, I'm from San Francisco. But tell me, where are you from? Where were you born? How'd you get in the game? The whole deal.
I'm born in Boston. I grew up in South Florida. When I was about 18, 19 years old, I started working for a rickshaw company down in West Palm. I later then moved up to Orlando and started my own company. But the problem was every night I'd get home 3 to 5 in the morning from working in the bar scene. The only thing on TV was Girls Gone Wild and real estate infomercials. You can only watch Girls Gone Wild so many times.
True.
So I started watching these Carlton Sheets and all kinds of real estate infomercials, but I knew they were selling the dream. So what I did was I got involved with a local RIA down in Orlando, CFRI.net, the Central Florida Real Estate Investors Association, one of the best RIAs in the country. They did a lot of education, but at the time, I was literally living day to day. I wasn't even living paycheck to paycheck. My paychecks came daily. So
from the rickshaw.
Yeah, from doing the rickshaw.
And the rickshaw, if you don't know, that's like at the bar and you're kind of tipsy and you need to ride somewhere. You jump on the back of a bicycle.
Yeah, it was a bicycle with a trailer, and we'd haul people around from bar to bar, from cars to their house to.
And this was your job.
I loved it. It was the best job ever.
And you worked at night, and during the day, you're trying to figure out real estate.
Yeah.
In Orlando, the beautiful weather.
Exactly. It was great, but it was a great job, but it had no future. It was a day-to-day job.
Paycheck to paycheck, or day-to-day?
Literally day-to-day.
Okay. Right How'd you get that job? Like one day you just woke up and said, I'm going to go be a rickshaw driver?
I had a roommate I was years and years and years ago. I was 17, 18. I had a roommate that was doing it. At the time, I was managing a Papa John's, and I hated it. And he'd come home. I was making a couple $100 a week, maybe. He's like, oh, yeah, I made $200-$300 yesterday. I'm like, you liar. I never believed him because it wasn't my reality.
Oh, true. Well said.
So I just called him on his bullshit a lot, and finally he proved me wrong.
And so you went down there and saw that you can make money easily just doing physical.
Yeah.
Doing something that you enjoyed, meeting people.
I met girls. I met different business owners, different things, but it changed my mentality from trading dollars for hours to working on almost a commission-based structure. But I loved it, and it skewed me from ever having an X dollars per hour job for the rest of my life.
Totally. Because I was a similar case. I DJ'd on the weekends, and I didn't really do anything during the week. I got lazy because I just needed enough money to survive, per se, and by just DJing on the weekends. Yeah. Same scenario. All right, so you going paycheck to paycheck, trying to figure it out. Didn't know what you wanted to do. Got a hold of real estate somehow.
I got involved with a local RIA at the time. They were charging a couple $100 for a class. I couldn't even afford that. So I kind of figured out this loophole. Someone told me if you volunteer, you get the classes for free.
Savvy.
So I started volunteering for as much stuff as I could to get as much, because I had all this time during the day. So I started volunteering, and I'd go basically show up to the class 30, 40 minutes early, set up the paperwork, hand out some flyers, register people, check them in.
Cool.
Basically, get to audit the class. I'd get the materials because I was the guy handing them out. Lunch would break for the class. They'd send everyone would leave, and I'd have an hour to sit there with the speaker, and they'd buy me lunch.
And you connected with them?
Yeah, I'd connect with the speaker and get to pick their brain for an hour, and I just figure out what I was missing. Then lunch would come back. I'd have to hand out some more papers, and
okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. So you got exposed to some great people. Why did you ever do any deals in Florida?
Me and my brother, we had done a couple rehab deals, but I'd never really done any wholesaling deals per se.
Well, I know that's what you're known for now, the wholesaler king. But in real estate, when you were doing those flips, did you make money? Was it worth your time? Like, what did it crash and burn? What was
it? It crashed and burned because we were investing right about 2008, and that was right when Florida's economy just crashed, along with the rest of the nation. But you couldn't even give away a house in 2008 in Florida. Everything was over leveraged for what it was worth. Nobody had jobs. A lot of people were losing their incomes. And me, I was still doing the rickshaw business, and it was a service industry. I was living on people's ancillary incomes. So that crashed.
Right. People weren't going out as much.
Yeah, people weren't going out. So I had to find another way, and I knew I needed... The rickshaw, owning that business, gave me some type of passive income when I was renting them out.
Oh, you were the owner of the business.
Yeah, I was owning them, I was welding them, I was manufacturing, I was doing all kinds of things.
Okay. And you have to figure out, that's why you're not afraid of legalities, because I know just talking to you a lot of times, you're real comfortable with contracts and being sued and suing, and you had to do all that to get permits down there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so you were familiar with kind of contracts and negotiating.
Yeah.
So your business skills were...
Street
hustler.
Yeah, my business skill was street hustler at the time.
Oh, right on.
But I started... The rickshaw business kind of collapsed for 2008 and 2007 when I was down there. So I remember I met Dave Lindahl. He came through our CFRI. And Dave Lindahl is a big apartment complex guru.
And he's from Boston as well.
Yeah, from Boston
so
as well.
So the kind of connection there.
Dave also was one... I learned about wholesaling in Florida. Dave was also one of the big triggers that caused me to start looking into wholesaling more, because that's his approach. Is you need cash for an apartment complex, or you need capital for your down payment. Wholesale your way up to that money. So we went
level of entry into the game.
Yeah, level of entry was low barrier to entry. It required more knowledge than skill per se,
or no money.
Yeah, I didn't need money, and I just needed to know how to negotiate a deal, and I needed to know what title issues really.
So Lindahl sparked that. How'd you get educated in that aspect into being a wholesaler?
I had taken a couple smaller classes down in CFRI in Orlando. Jason Rodriguez of Elite Mentoring, Todd Hutchinson of IBuyHouses.com.
Okay.
They were kind of my mentors. They were local wholesalers and that taught classes, but they didn't really go into depth. I'd never had anyone really walk me through a deal, per se.
All right. So now you haven't done a wholesale deal in Florida. You just did those fix and flips.
Yeah, just a couple fix and flips.
And so then, what's the next step?
Originally, me and my brother, who was my partner at the time, we were trying to buy small apartment complexes. And Dave Lindahl turned us onto this thing. It was called the Emerging Markets. It was a Q3 report is what it was. But our parents still lived in Central Florida at the time. So I wanted to be in a radius of South Florida or Central Florida in case things happened. So we started looking at different markets in the Southeast, because obviously Florida was a bad market to be in at the time. So we looked at Raleigh, North Carolina, Atlanta, Georgia, Huntsville, Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama, Nashville, Louisville, Kentucky, Chattanooga, and started digging into their economy, seeing what was going on. So we got into Chattanooga, and I started Googling and figuring out what was going on there and looking at the Chamber of Commerce, what they were doing to try to bring businesses in there. They were bringing Volkswagen. Volkswagen built a plant there to build Passats. Amazon.com was building a huge distribution plant there. TVA was talking about retooling all the nuclear power plants. Alstom, they build huge wind turbines and electric generators and things like that. They were putting in a ton of jobs. So for every one job created, you really have 3 ancillary jobs. The extra guy at Walmart, the extra guy at the gas station to pick up the third shift, the extra county employees that they need to pick up more trash.
So the economy in your mind was doing well.
Yeah, the economy was it never had a big spike like the rest of the country, so it never had a big decline like the rest of the country.
Did you go check it out? Did you drive up there? I mean, how did you determine that was going to be the location? I mean, obviously those all sound like great ideas, but you just put your finger on a map and said, I'm going to go there? Did you hear, but did you know anybody there?
I didn't know anybody there.
That's big balls. I mean, hey, I'm going to move to Chattanooga.
So we started digging in, and I remember I was sitting at a CFRI meeting, and there was some speaker up giving a sales pitch. And
where's this, in Florida?
Yeah, in Orlando. I remember I had a T-Mobile Sidekick. It was one of those flip-out phones.
Oh, God.
And I remember searching Craigslist in Chattanooga. I was looking for deals. I was trying to find like an apartment complex or something. And I found a duplex, take over my payments. At the time, I knew that was a motivated seller, but I didn't even know how to react to it.
Yeah.
So
well, you can handle that, right? In your mind, take over payments.
Well, yeah. Now,
in your mind. Well, no, back then, though, right? I mean, it seems simple enough.
Yeah.
But still.
The mechanics of it, yeah, logically it makes sense, but I wasn't sure on the mechanics of it, which paperwork and things to use.
So, and all your education is about to come into fruition.
Yeah, all my education is now coming to a head. This is make or break moments.
So, all right, you text this guy, call this guy,
I was too nervous to even call the guy. So I think I was 24, 23 or something at the time. So I ended up texting the guy. I was in Orlando. The property was in Tennessee. He was in Vegas.
And you have a different area code than Chattanooga at the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're texting back and forth. He wanted like $10,000 down, take over my payments.
How much was the house? Tell us about the house.
It was a duplex. It was $60,000. It was supposed to rent $800 aside, according to rentometer.com,
yeah,
which is
BS.
horribly inaccurate. But
BS. Anyway, so 60,000, 65, 10 down.
His payment was like $755, I think.
How much longer did he have on the mortgage?
I don't even remember it now.
Okay.
This was 8 years ago.
Well, yeah, we're analyzing his deal. We don't even know if you have it. So
we end up getting a contract on it, all via text. I emailed him a contract when I got home that night.
What would you feel? What was going through your mind?
I was nervous. I'm like, I'm getting a property on contract I've literally never even seen.
Or been there, and you've never been to Chattanooga at all at that time.
Yeah, I've never even been to Chattanooga.
So you pick this random place to live because of these key elements of future economy.
Yeah, I'm looking at this
emerging markets. You go to Craigslist, start blasting some dude who's partying in Las Vegas, probably tipsy. I want to buy your house, $10,000 down. Okay, and then you send him a contract. What was the terms?
We were buying it subject to the existing loan with $5,000. We ended up negotiating it down to $5,000 down.
Okay,
and taking over his mortgage of like $755 a month.
Okay, so all those were lies, right? Well, he was like in the beginning. Did he always tell you it was $750?
No, we saw.
Or the $800 aside. So it made sense. You're like, okay.
I'm like, it'll cash flow $800 a month
off of one side.
Off one side, so $5,000 down. I make all my money back in 1 year.
Excellent.
I'm like, that's a great return on investment.
Oh, for sure.
So
then what happened? Then did you drive up there? Did you wire the money?
I got the contract on it. I'm like, well, I guess we better go look at this place. So we drove up to Chattanooga.
How far a drive is it?
About 8 hours.
So you and your brother just stoked, like
yeah,
you
I'm
think
like
you
Friday
owned
night
his home.
we just drive up there. So we get there, and we can't. The guy mailed us the keys before we left. The keys didn't work.
So you had keys in your hand?
Yeah, we had keys to go check it out, or we had to meet someone in Chattanooga to pick up the keys. I think it was.
Was it occupied?
No, both sides were vacant.
So that's why he was motivated.
Yeah, he was completely motivated. He was losing.
Was he from there? Did he?
He was originally from there. His wife worked for the airlines and got transferred out to Vegas.
Oh, so he lived in Vegas. He wasn't vacationing. He was living in Vegas.
Yeah, he had moved to Vegas. He had some rental property there, and he had just kind of
bounced out. All right, right on. So then you get there. The keys didn't work.
So we get there. The keys don't work, and we're trying to break in, and we're about to just kick the door in
and go to jail.
Well, we had the inspection right. We just couldn't get in. And we're like, we'll just replace the door. It wasn't that hard. It's only $100. We knew what we were doing.
So you break in.
So we're getting ready to kick this door in, and this like homeless guy comes up, asking for change. He's like, "What are y'all doing? You buy that place?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "What's the matter? You can't get inside?" I'm like, "The keys don't work." He's like, "I can get you a key." I guess Shaniqua or something down around the corner had lived there. He's like, "I'll be right back. I'll get you the key." I'm like, "You bring me that key, I'll get you $20."
Smart.
I'm like, $20 is better than the $100 that I'm about to kick in.
Okay.
So 5 minutes later, this homeless guy, I remember his name, Too Short now.
Oh, God. Too Short.
Comes, brings us the key. We get inside, and I'm just shocked. It's just cheap hood rental. It was newer construction, but just commercial grade carpet, crappy paint.
And what was going through your mind?
I'm like, this ain't that bad. Paint and carpet, or paint and flooring, and this thing can be rent ready.
Did you have to go back and retrade and negotiate with the guy? Did you already agree on the $5,000 down?
Yeah, we had agreed on the $5,000
before you drove up there.
I didn't. I should have renegotiated it just based on the work, but.
So you just still bought it for 65?
We still bought it, yeah.
Or what was it, 65 or 60?
I think it was 60 with $5,000 down.
Okay, so you financed 55, or basically took over the payments.
Yeah, took over the payments subject to the existing loan.
And then how long did it take you to get it rented out? Or what did it take you to get it up to
rent
ready?
We checked it out. We ended up driving back to Florida that weekend.
Excited, right? Were you juiced up like on cloud nine?
Yeah.
First deal, $5,000 down.
Yeah, we're pretty excited. I was still kind of nervous. But
you're not excited. I'm more excited right now than you are.
This is old. But
this is old.
I get excited over new creative deals.
Oh, we'll get into those.
But end up lining up a closing. End up driving back up to Tennessee to get the closing. David came with me for the weekend. I stayed up there. I'd spent my personal time painting walls, got it rent ready on one side. I moved over to the other side. I remember I brought up a bag of tools, an air mattress, a bicycle, a radio, and a laptop. Like
Solo.
That's all I had in my pickup truck.
And your brother stayed down back in Orlando?
Yeah,
so he dropped you off?
He had a day job, but he just went back.
So that same weekend, you just moved up in there?
Yeah.
So you guys went back, you got all your stuff, and then turned around and drove back up there. And then Brian turned around and drove back.
I drove up with my stuff, and I think he...
Oh, you had a car? I
had my truck. I knew I'd have to get some materials if...
Okay, so you already had a vehicle. Okay, I'm thinking you're homeless, because you are homeless. You're living in this.
I didn't have a home, but I had a car.
And you knew I knew a homeless person named Too Short.
Yeah, that lived around the corner apparently. But
that knew Chattanooga. It's even more crazy. All right, so you get this deal. I mean, you're done. You close. What gave you the forthright or the mindset to use a closing company? Because like usually owner finance deals. People try to just slide in a lease purchase contract. Were you the one that pushed for the actual physical closing at a closing location?
Yeah, we pushed for that. We learned in doing subject twos. I'd never want a tabletop closing. And there's liens. So many ways that can go bad.
So you to this day, do you have this deal?
No, actually.
Okay, so what? Okay, so how long did you have it for, and then we'll move on to the next.
I had it a year. The original $5,000 down. We borrowed private money from one of my friends
in Orlando.
Yeah, well, he was actually up in Boston. It was one of my brother's friends. He was a partner on the deal. We gave up 50% equity on this property for the $5,000 down.
That is a smoking deal.
So,
well, I guess what it yields.
Yeah. Long story short, the previous seller had done a loan adjustment.
What, like a HARP loan?
I guess he modified it and had one payment that he had a year to catch up. Never told us about this.
So it was on the back end of the loan?
Yeah, so it was not the back end. He had 1 year. We close on this thing, get it, tenants rented out, have the partner on it. A year later, we go to collect rent one day, and tenant knock on the door because they hadn't paid. Go post notice. Tenant's like, someone told me I don't have to pay. The bank came by and foreclosed. I said, what? Did they leave you any paperwork? What is this about? Turned out, from that modification, they came back and taken that property over the one payment.
That was missed?
That was missed.
By him before you sold it?
Yeah. They had sent all the notifications.
Did you get title insurance?
Vegas. We did. They're not going to file a title insurance claim because it was a foreclosure. But they'd been notifying the seller in Vegas the entire time.
And the dude didn't tell you?
Dude didn't tell us.
Well, maybe he assumed. Did you ever talk to that guy?
Nope.
Man, murder.
Yeah. So
you lost that deal?
Lost that deal.
Wow, your first deal was getting gnarly.
After
then
a year,
it just landed.
Disappeared.
Boom. Dang, but what did you learn through that whole process?
Double check. if I'm buying subject to, make sure I check the payments, make sure there's no
Current?
Yeah, make sure everything's current. Call the bank before and make sure there's no excess modifications and
Get the permission, the release form to actually pull all that information from. Get a social and all that jazz.
Everything. There's a lot of
Because you're doing him a favor. So he just took the $5,000 and said, "See you later.
Yeah.
I'm out. I'm in Vegas."
And what screwed me is I had John, the 50% equity partner. I gave up 50% on another deal that was a better deal in a better neighborhood
During the
on
process.
that duplex.
Oh man,
Just to cover it because I felt horrible. Because I felt like it was my mistake that it went bad.
all right, Thomas. This is awesome, man. We can talk for hours, and I know you're going to be on the episode like 10 more times. Especially, you're going to be speaking at the Investor Weekend coming up in 2016. I'm really stoked about that.
I'm very excited.
Tell me about like your passion. Like, you know, most people would have a bad taste in their mouth. They got burned. They worked on this deal for a whole year. They tiled it. They painted it. You sacrificed everything. What has kept you going? You're even today. How many years later is that? 10 years? I mean,
about 8 years.
8 years later, you're more passionate and more enthusiasm than I've seen even in my own, and I'm just nutty about this. What keeps you going?
I like the excitement of the creativity to do. I do a lot of wholesaling deals. Just to do a basic wholesale deal, doesn't even matter if it's like 10,000 profit. I don't even get excited about that anymore. I get stupid excited over really creative deals where I've had to do stuff off the wall.
Yeah.
Like,
I know I want to get into we're going to get into one of those deals. We can get into that one, the one that you loan someone money, you put a lien on the property, and then you got to deed it back to get clear title.
Yeah.
You want to go into that deal? I mean, it's real sophisticated, so
sure.
You got to kind of be slow. I'm trying to think of how much time we have here. We're in the temporary studio. All right, we got it's 20 minutes now, so we can do it in about 10.
Okay.
How's that? So break this deal down. And now this is 8 years later. This is just recently, right?
This is just like 2-3 months ago.
2-3 months ago. And how many transactions do you think you've done since then?
300 plus.
300 plus. Okay, because when you told me this deal, I was like, and you sought out and tried to get advice. You went on forums and you sought out, how do I make this deal happen? And that's what motivates you and to solve a problem. So let's go into it. Let's tell us about the deal.
So recently I've been working with Rich Dad Education, talking about creative finance and things. I'm at an event for them up in Newark, New Jersey. It's like a Friday night.
And what he's saying is that he's one of the speakers that travels with them, right? Yeah. And that's your day job. Well, not really a day job, but weekend.
Yeah, weekend job. Twice a month.
You get to fly around and to meet new investors and
inspire other
sounds
people.
Like a dream job to me, but anyway. So guys have been teaching about creative financing, and you want to put it to the test. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's Friday night. I mean, I could generate my own marketing, but my assistant texts me this lead and says, "Hey, I'm not really sure what to do with this. It's kind of a rush." And it's Friday night, so I pick up the phone and call the guy. It turns out he had this duplex. Both sides rent ready. He had remodeled, owned it free and clear. Didn't pay his taxes for 4 years, and it was in Tennessee. And Tennessee's a tax sale state, or a tax deed state, if you know about tax liens. So,
what was the number that he owed?
He owed $7,500 cash on.
And he couldn't. And the guy couldn't come up with it.
He couldn't come up with it
because he just spent all his money rehabbing it.
Well, he didn't pissing all the money away, and I don't know what he was doing with it. But he didn't have the money.
So it's rehab, rent ready.
Yeah, both sides are rented. It's cash flow.
Oh, okay. I already had it. Okay, got a tenant in it.
Yeah, both sides $550 a month.
Okay.
I'm like, okay. So he's like, yeah, I want $12,700 for it. I was like, okay.
$12,700.
Yeah.
These are properties you're getting there on a regular basis, this low, with $1,100 return.
Yeah, if you know
what's your
how to
taxes?
negotiate.
Well, $7,000 for 4 years. What's that divided by? My math wizards out there.
Plus, it's 18% interest, and it's
okay. Whatever. So
yeah.
Let's get to the deal. This joker owes $7,500.
Yeah.
And he's only asking for $12,000.
He wants $12,700 for this thing.
$12,700, and it cash flows $1,100 a month.
Yeah.
And PITI, obviously has no debt on it.
It's bringing it. Yeah, he had no debt on it, but he wasn't paying any taxes and insurance, so really he was just taking all the cash flow and not paying anything.
Why would you give that up?
Well, he was dumb. I don't ask why people were selling it.
He's dumb. All right. So we got to build this up. This is for the radio show, man. I know you want to cut to the chase. We got to paint a picture for people. They're like, what the hell's going on here? Like, this is $1,100 a month. Hey, I want to walk away. I mean, seriously, like, I'd buy 100 of those, 1,000 of those.
Oh, I'd buy them all day long in a heartbeat.
That's $6,000 a unit. I mean, it's almost too good to be true. That's why I'm...
Yeah.
So, okay.
So
that's why you jumped around like hula hoops for this deal.
It's Friday night. He says it's got to be redeemed by Tuesday at
4 days.
o'clock. Yeah.
Counting a weekend.
Really like 2 business days.
Yeah, counting a weekend.
5:30 on a Friday.
Okay.
So it's got to be redeemed by Tuesday at 4 p.m.
And what do you think the ARV is?
Maybe 45, 50.
And this is in a moderate neighborhood, blue-collar neighborhood?
Lower NC neighborhood, borderline war zone. Low-income neighborhood.
Okay. Section 8? Potential?
Section 8, both sides, I could do it. No problem.
Cool.
So he calls me, wants to sell this thing, but he's got to redeem it. He sees obviously he's responded to some of my marketing. I buy houses cash. So I have 2 days. Like, I can't even forward this to my title company to start a title search, never mind get title insurance or anything. So what happened was I had a friend that he basically works as an abstractor. I'm like, hey, I need you to give me your password. Let me search this title. So it's like midnight on a Friday. I'm searching this title literally myself to make sure there's no liens or
the book and pages and all that jazz.
Yeah, make sure there's no mortgages or other judgments out there attached to it. So it goes all the way through. Monday, I end up meeting with him. There was nothing on the title.
It was really clean title?
Yeah, it was a clean title on as far as mortgages
clear,
and everything. Yeah, clear title.
Okay.
So I end up meeting with him, and this is African-American guy.
Let's talk about the risk. Now, if you randomly paid this guy $12,000, you could lose the house on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So that was your potential risk. This is Monday. This guy wants $12,000. How can you can't
But
get...
he can't even give me a clear title because he doesn't have time.
Okay, so then what? Okay, sorry. And then this is an African-American guy. It doesn't matter.
He's an African-American guy. He's got...
Did he have any other units?
He had some... he had a bunch of units of other stuff that was going into the tax sale. He had...
Was he divorced? Was it distressed property? I mean,
I think he was divorced, but he had his mom on title. He had his baby mama on title. It was like 3 or 4 people on title.
Did you see how much he purchased it for?
He had bought it for $19,000.
How long ago?
About 60. I want to say 6 or 7 years ago. So he had made his money.
Dude,
off
I'm
of
about to invest in Chattanooga.
Oh, it's a decent market, but
anyway,
you know what you're doing.
Yeah. Oh, I got you.
So we end up getting this property under contract. So I had to go meet with him
on Monday.
On Monday, I had to line up a mobile notary.
Okay, did you go see the property? I guess. Sorry,
I had a friend drive by it.
And it's standing
on Friday.
It's not burned down.
He just sent me a couple drive-by photos. Never got to see the inside. Nothing.
And you're still willing to do this deal?
I'm like, for the price I'm buying,
for $12,000,
I don't care what it looks
13,
like. 13,
whatever. Okay, so when you need the mobile notary just to get a quitclaim deed?
I gotta not get a quitclaim deed because he can't give me a clear title, and my contract says 12/7. I had to get a purchase and sale agreement signed and get that notarized so I can record it and do a notice of contract or an affidavit of interest on it. I had to get a deed of trust because literally the only way I could structure this deal was I'm going to loan you the money, the $7,700. If you can get me clear title, I'll pay you the $12,700. If you can't, I'm in it for $7,700. I wrote the deed of, I met with the guy, got a purchase and sale agreement signed, and also did a deed of trust for the $7,700 at 21% interest, which is maximum usury law in Tennessee.
And so you loaned him the money to go pay the...
I didn't give him the money.
But you wrote the piece of paper that states that you're giving him the money.
Yes.
But you're taking care of the loan.
Yes.
The lien, I guess. You walked down to the courthouse.
Once I got this paperwork signed, I immediately rushed down to the courthouse, go upstairs to the Register of Deeds office. This is like Tuesday at 3 o'clock by the time I finally got everything done and drew up the deed of trust.
And they're about to commence.
Yeah, I got an hour to make this happen or not.
Okay.
So I go up to the Register of Deeds office, go and record my deed of trust that he's signed. I haven't given any money out. I also go and record my contract. Because Hamilton County, they don't like you recording things for some reason. They make it very difficult.
In your strategy is to cloud the title just in case
just to protect my money.
Anything goes wrong.
Well, my strategy was get these recorded so I can I'm protected if I actually go downstairs to the next floor and go to the tax assessor's office and pay this mortgage, that I'm not just paying a deed that's in his name and I have no protection for my money.
Okay.
I don't want to just be burnt $8,000 and have no collateral, no resource back.
Okay.
So once first step, I go upstairs, get them recorded, get everything recorded. So then I go downstairs, go and pay the taxes.
The $7,000 and some change.
$7,700.
Some change.
And change. From that, because Tennessee's a deed of trust state, it takes 30 days for whoever bought their tax lien certificate to either object, saying, I put money, I did this repairs.
But you didn't actually buy the tax lien, you actually paid it off, so it's a different scenario.
I redeemed him out of it.
Right, in the state's mind, it was like him paying it off.
Yeah, it's like him paying it off.
It's not you buying it, so there's no or interest based on that, or any kind of return for that transaction.
The guy who bought the tax lien certificate, Carl, he gets bounced out. He's no longer in the deal.
Okay, so now you got $7,000 some change in the deal.
Yes.
And now what? You recorded it, and they satisfied it. The courthouse was fine with you paying off this tax lien.
It took 30 days for it to go back and forth through the courthouse for them to get it back into the seller's name. Okay. In that 30-day period, I dropped off the contract to the title company. He had a personal judgment against him.
On that property?
No, against him.
In general?
In general. He had a car that was repossessed or something.
And you didn't realize this?
I didn't realize it
because you didn't have enough time to do the search.
I didn't search his name. I only searched the property.
Okay. Lesson
learned, search the seller's name.
I think you should search your girlfriend's name, anyone's name.
I want to Google everybody.
Yes. Okay, so my heart just fluttered there for a second, because I'm thinking this is like the deal of the century, and you're running into some hula hoops here. Okay, keep going.
So, like, I'd gone on a couple forums before I even done all this deal, like seeking advice from some of my mentors and people that I look up to that do really creative deals.
And did you seek out Augie?
I sought out Augie. I sought out a bunch of people I know that do creative deals. And I'm like, yeah, sounds good. Like, I'm looking for creative criticism, or no, do it this way, or you're an idiot, do it this way, something like that. And everyone's like, yep, good job.
No,
sounds good.
Okay, so then what happens?
Like, no validation there. So it got me really nervous. I'm like, I don't know.
Success is blazing the trail at times, I guess. So, all right, now you find out that this choker has a judgment. Is it a federal judgment or state judgment, or just? It
was a personal judgment from like a car that he got repossessed. So it was some creditor.
Basic, yeah.
So I call the creditor. I'm like, maybe I can negotiate this down. See what
was the number?
$19,000.
So you just bought a $12,000 house.
I got $7,700 into this morning.
And then you shit your pants.
I got a note. Like,
excuse me for that. So.
I literally got a note saying I got an interest in this property and a recorded personal. So I'm freaking out. I'm kind of like
at 19, debt.
I'm like
17.
So I call the seller. I'm like, hey, we really got 3 options. You got this judgment out there. You can pay it. Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
I like our contract where we have clean title, so I can get this asset.
Okay, good job. Next.
But it's a dumb trade for him. He's getting $5,000 for a 19. He's still losing $14,000.
So what was his options that you gave him?
So I'm like, well, you can just sign the property over to me, just quick claim it to me. I don't get title insurance, but it'll be stupid cash flow for the rest of my life.
And you'll never sell it. Yeah. Okay. That's one strategy. 2.
Yeah.
Is it the 2 strategies that you gave him?
Or I can foreclose.
Oh, because you're in position 1 on the house.
Yeah, because I'm in position 1 on this note.
Because that's just a judgment. It's not a position.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I say to him, what do you want to do? If I foreclose,
you're jacked up even more.
I'm going after your baby mama and your mom that's on title and you.
Because you technically own the mortgage on it.
Yeah, because I got the mortgage. Or you can pay me off was his 4th interest. But I knew he didn't have the money.
So pay you off the $7,000 plus your time and effort.
Yeah, $7,000 plus, because I wrote the deed of trust out just to protect myself at 21% interest.
But it's only a short amount of time, though. Well, has this been 12 months?
No, this is like 30 days.
Okay.
So
what did this guy do? Or what'd you do?
He kind of screws me around for 4 days. I'm like, listen, I need to know something. I can't just leave my money sitting out there. I'm just going to start with the foreclosure process, if that's what you want to do, because he was kind of ducking me. So he calls me one day, and he's like, do you have a mortgage release available? I said, well, yeah, I can draw one up.
Yeah, that's not
I
too
can draw
difficult.
one up. He's like, well, I was like, it needs to be notarized and recorded if that's what you want to do. I got him a payoff amount for the $7,000 plus interest, and he calls me back, meets me at my bank, and I'm expecting a cashier's check. No, meets me at my bank to get it notarized. I'm like, well, I'm not giving you this.
Why would you give him a release of mortgage?
I'm not giving you a release of mortgage.
And I just gave you $7,000.
I'm like, I'm not. Yeah. He's like, well, we'll just come down to my office.
So he tried to hustle you?
He was trying. I couldn't tell if he was trying to hustle me or what his deal was.
Or he was even just ignorant?
I think he was just ignorant. So I go down. He's like, oh, money's at my office. And it's down kind of in the hood. He owns a little like phone stand in the hood. So
this does not sound... I didn't know these details.
So I'm like kind of like put off by this. I'm like, wait a minute. So I buy and sell a lot of low-income housing. I'm a firm believer in concealed carry weapons. So I get my Glock and I run down. I call my friend Brandon. I'm like, hey, Brandon, I just want you to come with me for this. I don't want to be put by myself with this guy's planning on paying me off. Wow. So I go down to his office with my friend Brandon, and got a little safe in the corner, goes out and pulls out $10,000 plus.
Is that what he owed you?
Yeah, the payoff with the interest rates.
So you made like $2,000 on this transaction?
I made like $3,400 or something.
But you didn't own the asset?
On interest. Just interest on the note.
Wow.
It took about maybe a month and a half, 2 months.
And you got all your money back?
Yeah. So I go down there and he's got $10,000 plus in $20 bills wrapped up.
What was his day job? What was his profession?
He ran it was a little Boost Mobile phone store down in the hood.
And did he ever tell, was it cool? Was it comfortable? Was he like jovial, or is he like...
No, it was very awkward.
And he was just like, he was just waiting for you to get scared to run away, or...
I think he just...
Intimidation?
Yeah, he just thought I'd go away. And I'm like, I'm going to foreclose. I'm going to take this.
All right, so now my show, the Savvy Radio Show, is about buying assets, but I didn't know we were going to be private lenders.
I was expecting to buy the asset. That was my whole intention.
Totally. I mean, that's so cool about real estate and being creative. You just never know where it's going to take you.
I just wanted to protect my money. Like,
oh, sure.
I just didn't want to put out $8,000 to be...
Yeah. So, but you yielded 35, and you got a wonderful story, and you'll never forget it. And
yeah.
But you took the risk. That's the thing. I mean, I think that's the takeaway is you just never know where it's going to lead you. You just got to go do it.
Yeah.
And now you have that under your belt. Now you know how to deal with tax liens. No, that's 30 days.
I know how to jack people out of tax liens in a heartbeat now, though.
Yeah, you can play this game and reverse it.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, we're going to wrap this episode up because I want to bring you back. And when I slap your name up on the website and say, you got to come here, Thomas Morgan and the Life of Creative Wholesaling Financing, man, I'm just super stoked. So what advice can you give someone out there that's just getting in the game, young like you, not the advice of pack up and move and bring your tool bag, but what advice? That is a tricky situation that I wouldn't even get into personally. But what advice would you give the person out there now, like some of these attendees at this conference that they're wet and they're green and they're nervous? What would you say to them?
Be relentless in your pursuit of the deal. There's hundreds of deals out there. Not everyone's motivated to sell, but only deal with motivated people. Study as much creative financing as you can.
And that's your first step.
Yeah.
And I think that's awesome.
We'll get into it more at the investor weekend, but my credit sucked when I got into real estate. Like, I had
no money.
Issues.
And you had no money. You had to borrow the money.
Nothing.
I mean, it's just crazy that you started with no money. You were, doing rickshaws at night. You've done over 300 transactions. You own 24 units. You have a thriving, active wholesale business today with virtual assistants and the machines running, and you're managing property, and you're only 32 years old. Sky's the limit, man. I'm super stoked. Thomas, I appreciate you being on the show, especially here in the middle of nowhere in Cincinnati.
Ohio.
We got to do another episode. Anyway, folks out there, if you don't know who I am, that's cool because I really don't care. No, I do. But anyway, my name is Stephen Van Kallenberg. I am the Savvy Landlord, and you are listening to the Savvy Radio Show. That's SavvyRadioShow.com. Coming up in March 2016, Thomas Morgan is going to come and blaze the stage and teach you how to wholesale for real and not try to take money out of your pocket, but teach you how to make money. And I'm so excited to see your release of your course and your book coming out. I know you've been working diligently on that, and I'm just excited for you to be involved with Rich Dad, and that's how I got this far. Anyway, other than that, tune in, and whatever you do in your life every day, think about assets, but ultimately buy assets.
Thanks for listening to the Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at savvyradioshow.com. Connect on Twitter at LandlordBook, and always be buying assets.